We're gonna hit our theme song.
Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody.
Welcome.
Films in Black and White, everybody.
This is what happened when Doug's not here.
I know, right?
Listen, welcome. Brian did it best. Welcome back to Films in Black and White, everybody. How are you doing?
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Man, well, I'm feeling a little off kilter. We're missing Doug this week. We're just gonna pull that out there, which is why Marcus and I had that wonderful cross communication. But we're missing Doug, so I am missing him. But I'm happy to be here. My life is super busy right now, and this is enjoyable to me. So I am happy to be here and talk about movies and everything in between. Marcus, how are you?
I'm good. I am good. Like you said, we're missing Doug, but we are going to do the Brian and Marcus show, which I don't think we are. Oh, we have done this before. This is the episode 2 of the Brian and Marcus show.
We don't have a special guest this time.
No, so it's literally just Brian and Marcus. If this is your thing, you're in the right place. But yeah, like we said, Doug is out handling some family business. And I'm excited. I feel like I was working hard in the previous week, and Monday we had a big presentation. So this is how I'm rewarding myself.
Nice.
So it'll be good. But Brian,
excellent.
I think we should get right into some Catch That Quotable. What do you think?
Oh, yes, we should.
I think it's gonna be good.
I'm gonna love it. Just as a quick reminder, I believe that I have 10 points and you are close behind with 9 with Doug and a trailing 7, I want to say.
Yes, he does have a measly 7.
All right, Doug. Yeah. Well, you have 7, Doug. So I don't think this is gonna help your chances. But Marcus and I will do this. Well, then you know what, Marcus? Since I'm in the lead, why don't I hand it over to you? Let's have you go first.
Oh, okay.
I am a gracious competitor.
I appreciate you being so gracious. And allowing yourself more time to get ready. So here's the thing.
That's definitely not what this is about. What are you talking about?
Here's the thing. I had a couple of quotes of movies that I wanted to pull from, but I kind of wanted to step outside of. First hint, I'm going to step outside of a sci-fi superhero. And,
I love it.
And try to step outside of that a little bit. So with that being said, sorry. Traffic, looking for my chapstick, feeling kind of car sick. There's a Ford Maverick. Once again, for those in the back, traffic, looking for my chapstick, feeling kind of car sick. There's a Ford Maverick.
This is on the tip of my tongue, and it's like it's running through like 3 different types of movies too. But I also have like a Chris Tucker vibe from this a little bit, and I can't tell you why. Tell you why, but it does feel like someone's like just calling out whatever's around them. Okay. I mean, obviously it's lyrics.
I think Doug is watching live.
Oh man, Doug, welcome.
Message us a measly 7. Fuck you both.
Well, Doug, you can come back on the show next week. You can redeem yourself. Maybe you can pick up 2 points. Who knows? Maybe I'm dragging this out because I don't know. I'm going to smash that hint button, Marcus.
All right. Your hint is going to be Kennedy.
Kennedy? I am in the woods. Kennedy. That I don't know. This isn't the movie Traffic, is it?
No, it is not the movie Traffic. I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the right on this. This movie is Malibu's Most Wanted with Jamie Kennedy. Yes, and that's him freestyling. Because you want to be a rapper.
I mean, he kind of does have. Sometimes he has Chris Tucker energy, sometimes
a little bit, yeah.
Like
a little bit.
Just maybe in the music vibe, maybe not.
I remember when Jamie Kennedy was like huge.
Oh my gosh,
he had a million shows.
I mean, like I feel like he. With the guy who played Napoleon Bonaparte, not Napoleon Bonaparte, Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah.
I feel like they like burned bright and burned out so
quickly,
just incredibly fast. Oh my gosh. Well, that was great. I haven't thought about Jamie Kennedy in years.
I'm sure nobody has, but no, that's fine. How about you? Look, give it to me, Brian. Don't hold back.
Oh, we're not. All right, here we go. I would rather be a ghost drifting by your side as a condemned soul than enter heaven without you.
Oh my gosh.
I also care a lot about you, Marcus. But for everybody else playing, I would rather be a ghost drifting by your side as a condemned soul than enter heaven without you.
Okay. All right. So the first thing that came to mind, for some reason, was Ghost Rider. That feels like a Nicolas Cage, like a corny Nicolas Cage kind of line. But I don't think that he said this. I do feel like it's a supernatural film, though. For some reason, it screams supernatural film because of that line. Like literally, maybe this person was about to go through the gates of hell and there's a devil. Yes, and it's just using the most extreme scenario to explain their love for someone. You know what I'm saying?
That is okay. I follow your logic. Yeah.
So let me get a hint to confirm my guess.
The hint will be sword fighting.
Jesus. Okay.
Don't you love it?
That did not help at all.
No, I was you a minute ago.
that did not help at all. And I'm clearly wrong wrong as two left shoes. So sword fighting. Okay, here's what I'm gonna say.
All right.
Pirates of the Caribbean, because this sounds like a line that what's his name would say, not Jack Sparrow, but
whoever. Oh my gosh, Orlando Bloom's character.
I was thinking Oswald, but yes, Orlando Bloom. I was thinking Orlando Bloom. So I'm gonna say Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay, it is not Pirates of the Caribbean. It is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It's in the same time. It's around the same time frame, though.
Shoot. Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah, this is said by Chow Yun Fat to Michelle Yeoh as they're sword fighting, and he's proclaiming his love for her. She does not reciprocate, and they have a sword fight.
Nice. That's typically how women respond to me in the bar.
Look, if you profess your love and someone's not having it, the only way you can deal with your feelings is sword fighting and jumping.
Yeah, because only one of us can leave from this situation because it's embarrassing. Clearly. So, well, Brian, it seems like you remain in the lead.
There it is.
And I remain where I am, and Doug remains at his 7 until you get back. So there you go, Doug. Nothing changed at all.
Doug, we both whiffed. So if you're watching the live stream right now, you can come on back next week. Nothing has changed in that respect.
I was shaving points for you, Doug. So that's my excuse. At least I was shaving points.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
So Brian, actually, we're trying a new format.
Yes.
Many may not know, and it's been a while since we've had like a casual down week where we weren't watching a movie or some summer blockbuster.
No. I mean, the movie, for people that are listening, we're recording this, and the latest movie that has come out was G.I. Joe Snake Eyes, which the three of us didn't feel any passion about, and it looks like audiences didn't either.
No. We heard that was trash. We heard that was a dumpster fire for some reason, and I don't know why they can't get G.I. Joe right. I don't know what it is about this franchise that they just, I heard that the casting was on point, but the writing and the dialogue was terrible. I think they have people who used to play with the action figures and dolls writing these scripts, and maybe that's the problem.
I mean, it made $13.3 million for a movie like this. You're easily clearing $100 million just in development, not even advertising. And so I don't think the advertising was there. I also think it was released in a weird time. I feel like if your movie was successful, it was a well-established franchise, right? This isn't new, but Fast 9 or Black Widow, and it had a powerhouse of advertising being like, no, this is in the theaters. Like go to the theaters and see this. And I didn't get any of that with Snake Eyes. Maybe that's just how I get advertisements, but I just didn't see that.
No, I didn't get it. The Snake Eyes seem to really focus on, I don't know, like, oh, this is going to be upbeat and fun. Like that was the vibe that I got from it, but not necessarily pushing anybody to a theater. They showed the same scenes over and over. They didn't really get into a lot of,
Yeah.
The movie. Typically they give you a glimpse into something and be like, oh man, I really want to go see that. But
Right.
a buddy of mine called me and was like, no, don't go see it. Please don't review that movie on the podcast. And I was like, wow, like it's that bad. And they were like, yep, it's that bad. So
yeah, I know we'll talk about it later. Like I know one of us will see it and talk about it later, but I just found it here from Variety and it looks like the budget was between like 80 and 90 million. So yeah, they're gonna need to keep hitting it hard to recoup this. And this is a Paramount property. So
I'm not surprised about it. Brian, can I actually get into my first topic here?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. That's box office. Let's do it.
I just feel like because this perfectly leads right into my issue. And my issue is
what's that?
Outside of 2, maybe 3, these streaming services suck. They are terrible.
No, why do you say that, Marcus?
Because so I paid for Paramount Plus. I had to finish watching Harry Potter. So for those of you that follow me on Twitter and those of you that know, I was live tweeting through the entire Harry Potter franchise.
Yes.
And so at midnight exactly on a Wednesday, they removed it all from HBO Max and pushed all the Harry Potter movies to Paramount Plus. Peacock. They pushed it all to Peacock. And so now all the Harry Potters are on Peacock. So I had to pay for Peacock.
Right.
And after I finished watching Harry Potter through there, I just was going and strolling through Peacock services. And then for those of you that also know, I've been accidentally paying for Paramount Plus.
That's right. I forgot.
Since like February, since like the last Super Bowl. So I've been paying for this thing the whole time because I just forget to, cancel it and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I'm going through these streaming services and I'm like, for you to own some of the biggest movie franchises,
yes,
your streaming site is terrible.
Yes.
If you're an adult, I just feel like it's trash. It's garbage.
Yes.
Lots of shows for kids and stuff like that, but more specifically Paramount and Peacock, terrible. HBO Max is my go-to at the moment. Netflix is cool, but I don't like the fact they automatically play like the shows and stuff like that.
You can change at least the previews. You can change that.
Really?
Yes. There's a setting buried, and I won't fumble over it right now, but I do want to tell people listening, you can Google like, how do I stop auto playing trailers or whatever?
That would be fantastic.
And you can calibrate that, I think, on the web browser. For the episodes, though, I don't know after you click the initial tile, I think it does start playing. I ran into that a lot with I Think You Should Leave season 2. And that stuff gets weird, by the way. And like if Maggie like came down and was like, hey, I'm like, oh no, now this is weird all over. So like I get it, man. It is so frustrating.
It's terrible. I don't know what, and Hulu, don't get me started on Hulu. Hulu has a terrible. They have a terrible, what do they call that? The interface. They have a terrible interface.
I saw it, not to plug my own TikTok account, Rogue this guy. Also, by the way, as I'm saying this, you need to follow Marcus on Twitter, and you can find him at Marcus J. Destin. And yeah, he was live tweeting his way through everything, and you're missing out. I just want to say that you missed out if you didn't see it. I do want to say though, on TikTok, someone broke down why it's such a terrible interface. I can't find their username right now, of course, but essentially saying like, none of this is intuitive. This feels like it was designed to like basically look good on a wall, but like not actually use it. Like information's covered. You can't tell like if you're scrolling through something or if it's a dead end. Like Hulu, but far and away the worst interface. I totally agree with you. HBO Max has the worst like usage stuff because it's like, oh, you want to rewind? Well, forget you. Oh, you want to like stop and go back and go into something? Well, you better restart the whole app because you're sitting here and you're gonna finish this movie. Like HBO Max it's just like I need to get I just need to leave and come back. It's like the hell you are.
Unless it's the Snyder cut, I'm perfectly fine with that. But like, I mean, no, but Brian, you're absolutely right because HBO Max is my go-to. Right. If I want to rewind 15 seconds, like I missed something, it reboots the entire. But my Roku kicks me back to the home screen. I'm like, God damn.
Yep. I have the same experience on my Amazon Fire Stick. Exactly. Like it's definitely HBO Max.
It's yeah. I don't know when they're gonna get those, but I'm just gonna say for all these streaming services, all of y'all bit off of each other and was rushing to put out this damn streaming services, and only 2 of you are like elite. Disney Plus, obviously,
yes,
they have it hands down.
They figured it out immediately.
They figured it out. Yeah, they figured it out.
I mean, because I don't know any other streaming service, and maybe it's because they have such powerful IPs, but it's like, I want to look at Marvel stuff. You click the Marvel tile, like Netflix and HBO Max. It doesn't have that. You kind of gotta find it after a menu or whatever, and it's just it's really hard to get to. But with Disney Plus, you're like, if you're like me, you might like Star Wars, and you're like, I just want all the Star Wars stuff in one place. Just want me Star Wars, and you're done. So
it makes sense, and for whatever reason, that makes sense. HBO Max, what gets me is I forget that they have a movie, like more movies. So they have a lot of movies to offer you, but their interface makes it seem like this is all we have. But if you go to the movies and the actual search, like the search portion, you can find a wide variety of movies or even find complete franchises here and there. So I just just wanted to come in here and just say some of y'all streaming services is ass.
No, I think it's good we talk about the state of streaming services because I mean things are gonna be changing. I feel like pretty fast here as you know things start to open up a little bit more and people start to go back to the theaters. Like streaming services aren't the end all be all now. When we were here last year, Tenet was literally the only thing we had to look forward to. And like streaming was king. And we all know how that happened, but like quite literally, I just want to say this out loud. So I go to HBO Max, I see the original, like HBO original White Lotus. I don't know what that is. Cool. I scroll down for you. I have, I don't like, it's fine. Like it's based on my interests. It's fine. But it's nothing like heavy hitter. We're talking Norbit. We're talking Greenland, Crazy Rich Asians. We have the Friends Reunion and Save the Last Dance. And I don't know what that tells you about my watch history. Oh, Dreamgirls is the next one. I don't know what's happening here.
Honestly, Brian, I like your for you might be for me because I like those movies. Norbit and Dreamgirls, those are fire.
Oh, I mean, these are. I mean, like, there's some gems in here. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like, it's the algorithm definitely has no idea what to make of me. It's like, I don't know, Dreamgirls, Friends Reunion, which one, man? Just choose one.
I definitely don't want that Friends Reunion. You can keep that.
I still haven't watched it.
I'm not watching that bullshit.
But it's exactly what you said. It's really hard to kind of find what you want unless you're doing a search function. In any case, I just thought I might share that. Like, I don't know any of that.
Doug is speaking to us from the great beyond, and he said also, first of all, he said, "What the fuck are you watching to get in orbit?" Then Doug said, also, HBO has mad recommendations like, did you like 1988? Well, do we have a collection for you? Which is also very true. The way that they have this, what's your sign? Which is like Sagittarius, Aries, like that kind of stuff. It's like, here's the movies you should watch that match with your sign. And I'm like, how did you get here? How did we get here?
I don't get it.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a long way of me saying I agree with you.
Yeah. Thank you. And that was a long way of me saying thank you. And I appreciate you.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Well, I have some news if you want me to jump in.
Nice.
All right. So this news is a little old, but I think it's a really good trend for us to talk about, especially with some upcoming releases. So a week ago, there was a statement released by, and I was joking with Marcus about this before we got here, but NATO, and you're probably thinking like, excuse me, what is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization doing here? But that is what the Association of Theater Owners calls themselves. But they essentially, they had some thoughts about Black Widow and how it went from how it was a joint release of streaming and theaters. And basically, I'm getting this from Deadline, which did its own analysis. But essentially, they're saying that the Disney Plus model of releasing simultaneously ignores that Premier Access revenue is not newfound money, but was pulled forward from a more traditional PVOD window, which basically means like when you're getting the releases, which is no longer an option. So basically, The theater owners are upset because they feel like there's no window now from theater release to home release. And that window is where those theaters made their money. And so they sent this they sent out this statement that is not nice at all, basically trashing the Disney Plus simultaneous release model. The other thing they said was that it demonstrates that an exclusive theatrical release means more revenue for all stakeholders in every cycle of the movie's life. So basically trying to say that Disney, you're going to make more money if there's a bigger window here in the theaters. So the theater owners are not happy. One thing I want to say before I get before I hear Marcus, I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
Is that so? Traditionally, theaters take 40% of all revenue. That's what this Deadline article says, and it looks like the streamers are only taking 15%. So, like the Amazons, the Roku, they're only taking 15% of any revenue that's generated. So, in a way, Disney in this situation may be making more money, like in a Black Widow situation. So, what are your thoughts on that?
in the world that I didn't. So here's the problem: Dune is coming out soon.
Yes,
so
it is,
and they just dropped this trailer, so that'll be the next, I guess, big release for both theater and for home, right? I didn't think we would get this far, to be honest. We were saying release it on both this entire time. And I thought that when everything opened back up and Lord willing things don't close back down.
Yeah.
I thought we would have maybe transitioned a little bit more to theater. But what I am realizing is there is an audience for people who just want to watch stuff at home.
Yes, there is. Absolutely.
And there's a lot, and there's people who don't want, we're not in a wait society anymore.
Oh my gosh, no.
So like there are people who are willing, first of all, to pay the $30 for the premiere access. And there are people who are willing who want it to be released at the same time for moments like Space Jam New Legacy. They don't want to go to a theater and spend their theater experience doing that. They want to watch it at home and be like, okay.
And that is a great way to say it, like spending your theater experience. Like it's gotten to this point now where that theater experience is its own commodity. I think you phrased that super well. And
thank you.
Yeah, like I feel like it for better or for worse, we're kind of backed into the theater owners and even Disney are backed into this corner of like, well, the only movies that are doing well there are like really big headliners. Right. So what are we going to do with all this other stuff that is not drawing people out? And because I feel like if it's not so I think the next big test here, right, is Jungle Cruise, which is coming out this weekend as we're recording this. It is also being simultaneously released on Disney, and I would not be surprised if this is an experiment for them because my guess is that if it's going to be a big release, they'll probably do a simultaneous, and if it's going to be something smaller like a Jungle Cruise, maybe they do a theatrical release. Maybe they do make more money on those smaller titles. But I have no idea if this model is going to stick around. I think it's bizarre we haven't ironed it out yet.
Yeah. I mean, what's going to happen, what it feels like is going to happen is the movie theater. Now that we've coined the phrase here, films in black and white movie experience.
Yes.
Like, let's treat it like it's cultural currency.
Yeah.
I do think that the movie going experience is going to get more expensive because it has to, because they have to try to keep up. So now people will pick and choose when they go to the movies, and it has to be for their absolute favorites. Marvel releases that are in the theaters. I think Marvel has that on lock. DC is kind of hit or miss. It depends on your franchise and your favorites. And like, okay, let's say movie theater, and the movie theater experience jumped up to $30 for food and to get into a theater, which is also kind of cheap. Let's say more like $50. Like, let's say you have to spend a total $50 at a movie theater for snacks and to get inside for just two people. You have to determine what you're, like, is it worth it essentially before you go to the movie? And if it's not, you just stay at home and you spend your $30 for your at-home experience, and you get to keep it and watch it with friends and create your own little vibe. So
totally,
I understand why NATO's upset, but also we just had a pandemic. I mean, what did you want us to do?
Yeah, I feel like, they want to blame Disney, which is fine. They can be blamed for quite a bit. I'm not going to be here defending them. Yeah. But I do feel like, it's this situation where if the reason I'm having a trouble finding words is because I'm trying to phrase this delicately, but I give up. It's gonna be a little rough. But quite frankly,
yeah, do it, Brian.
People just went through like this year of trauma of basically avoid crowded spaces, and now you have to convince all these people to come back to the theater and that it's safe,
and that
right?
It's okay.
And we've talked about that before, and I feel like that's the missing piece here is like Black Widow got people out. It was a known thing, and they're like, you know what, this is worth it. This is worth it, whether it's safe, whatever. They deemed it appropriate. And is it really getting to a point of like, oh, Jungle Cruise? Is that worth getting like sick and risking it all? Or no, just wait. Like, I feel like that's part of the calculation, especially with our current news that of the Delta variant and everything like that. We're a movie podcast. We're not going to get into the that stuff. You can go check out the New York.
Of it.
Yeah, you can go check out the New York Times for all that stuff, what we're talking about. But I feel like that's a factor of it that they're not really talking about. But I guess we'll kind of see in the next few months, especially how Jungle Cruise does.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Which is interesting because I mean, Black Widow is a Marvel property, and people do like Scarlett Johansson, right?
Yeah. And so, see her. Yeah.
So I mean, so it's like you would make that decision to go, is The Rock and Emily Blunt the combo that I want to go to the movie theater and see for Jungle Cruise? I don't know. I don't know yet.
It's a yes for me. If we're gonna do that, it's a yes for me.
It's a yes. Okay. I feel like I'm worried because of The Rock. We're gonna cover the Jungle Cruise on this podcast, like Brian said.
Yes.
I'm just worried that The Rock is gonna act like The Rock. Am I getting a real compelling story, or am I getting this is a Rock and Emily Blunt movie?
I mean, honestly, that movie, the whole vibe just seems like. Do you all remember The Mummy with Brendan Fraser?
Oh, okay. I remember The Mummy with Brendan Fraser.
Right. And then it's just like, okay, well, what if it's The Rock and Emily Blunt? There it is. Marcus is literally holding up The Mummy. It is like a challenge coin. It's out. Like it's out there. It's done.
It's all three movies right there.
I mean, it's an incredible. Just so much fun and like.
Yeah.
I don't
know. First two at least, not the third one.
That's okay. You know what? I wasn't gonna say anything, but I mean, honestly, like you're telling me it's that formula with The Rock and Emily Blunt. That's sold for me. I've also enjoyed The Rock since his WWF days. Yes, to anyone correcting me about WWE, I watched it when it was WWF. That's how old I am. But
can you smell?
Oh man,
Rock I'm a huge Rock fan. Don't get me wrong.
Same.
But there's a certain point with certain actors, I'm like, okay, give me the next level. But I have been hearing good reviews. Like it's like the Pirates of the Caribbean and that kind of thing. So that's fine. But well, thanks for that, Brian. I think that was really dope, and I think that's
no problem.
We need to know that. We need to keep up with these numbers because we just never know what's going to happen next.
Well, what do you want to talk about here, Marcus?
All right, let's talk Superman. We're going to talk about David Goyer. David Goyer is a GOAT. He's been around for a while. He's been writing movies since about the early 90s. Mm-hmm. And David Goyer had an interesting script note left by WB in regards to my favorite character, Superman.
Okay.
So I'm going to read this from comicbookreporter.com.
Okay.
While speaking to the Hollywood Reporter for a career-spanning interview, Goyer was asked about the worst script note he ever received.
Oh, man.
He said besides the time he was asked to put less magic in the Doctor Strange film, he was writing nearly 2 decades ago. It turns out the minds behind Warner Brothers might not be the best equipped to tell DC stories.
Oh, boy.
Goyer says, one note I got was on Man of Steel, where the ending involves Superman utilizing the pod that he arrived in as a child in order to bring down General Zod's ship. Goyer said the note that we got from the studio said, you ready?
Ready.
You have to change that. We asked why. They said, because if Superman uses that pod and destroyed while saving the city, how is he ever going to get back home to Krypton? There was just this long pause, and we said, Krypton blew up. You saw 30 minutes of it. So this is literally who the hands of my favorite character in DC Comics is in the hands of.
I'm speechless. I'm speechless at the ineptness of this comment. Absolutely floored.
Stupid. So Goyer went on, and I think he also talked about how he stopped WB from making a Sandman movie because he was like, a Sandman movie can't be made in the span of 2 hours, and WB is really trying to stick to this 2 hour algorithm, 2-hour formula, whatever you want to call it. But he was like, they would just watch 30 minutes of Superman's like Krypton being destroyed. And their first script note was, but how is he going to make it back home? Lets me know that people just don't pay the fuck attention, and you don't know the characters that you are putting on the big screen. You're money hungry.
I mean, I don't even know. I guess what I'm feeling right now is just when I see these movies, right? And I know you have this feeling essentially, but basically you read these comics and you're like, man, I really, I don't know if they understood it, the people making it, but like that, there's no way that's possible, right? Yeah. They're making a giant movie production with hundreds of millions of dollars. Someone had to read the comics, right?
One person.
No. Like you're right. Maybe one person, David Goyer did, or like the script, right? Like to have it get to this level of with an exec giving that note shows just a complete show of incompetency of understanding even the world of the character. No wonder they couldn't get it right within the DC universe, because if they can't even get the basics right, how can they get even the more complicated stuff right?
And we can't even get them able to like, I understand Zack Snyder's frustration because we can't get them to understand Krypton was destroyed and that's how Superman got here at its base.
Right.
We can't get Snyder. There's no way they were going to let Snyder tell a story that takes 3 hours to explain.
Oh my gosh.
Like on its own. And my other thing is they always take this, they always try to fall back on this. Well, this is our iteration of the hero, or this is our, people take their creative spin on a hero, when actually I'm starting to believe that WB just does not understand it.
I think like if you need more evidence, like if you listen to our podcast, you probably don't need more convincing, right?
Nope.
But I think it needs to be said that if you need evidence to show somebody else, I think this is it. Like this is it. David Goyer, an incredibly respected writer, story creator, understanding these characters and then working with people who control the money, basically saying like, well, how are you going to fix this plot point that clearly you didn't pay attention to?
Yeah.
And
my thing is, what if he didn't fight back? If he didn't fight back, then that movie, then basically they get to do whatever they wanted to with that movie or whatever they believe Superman should be.
I like the other thing too is like when we see these movies, right? Like we talked about this with our Space Jam review. Like, who is this movie for? That's really important when we review movies.
Right.
Now it feels like these movies are for like execs who are just trying to make money. Like, right. This is not new, but I mean, the Man of Steel, there's an entire sequence of Russell Crowe flying on like a weird pterodactyl thing with the planet literally blowing up around him and being like, we have to, I can't do Russell Crowe, but we have to get our son out of here. Like, were you sleeping?
Yeah. With the DNA of Krypton. He had the backup DNA of Krypton. I'm pretty sure like had to store it somewhere. He went underwater. You had Russell Crowe in a whole sequence.
I don't even understand. I don't understand how you can work in that environment.
No,
quite frankly. And you're right. No wonder Zack Snyder was just done after the Snyder Cut. He's like, no, I'm not working with that again. I mean,
I hope they fix it with this new Discovery Warner, whatever it is. Hopefully in this merger they get some people out of there. But my frustration will forever be high because I know we have Suicide Squad. And you can do that with lesser known characters, but you're talking about like, come on, like Superman is the greatest characters. And honestly, I do want to take this time to say that Tyler Hoechlin, I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Okay.
He is on Superman and Lois. Phenomenal Superman. And if I have to list my list of Superman, that's my top 3 right now. It goes Christopher Reeve.
Okay.
Tyler, Henry Cavill.
Whoa!
You have to watch that show. You have to watch it. He embodies Superman and Clark Kent, and that's always the battle for me, right? The battle is can you embody Clark Kent and Superman? Christopher Reeves, hands down.
Yes.
He would hunch over and do these physically do these things with his body that would make him look like a nerdy Clark Kent, and then he stand up straight and he's Superman.
Yeah.
Tom Welling dropped down 8 different spots for me because that fucker returned to the he returned in the crossover for the Flash and didn't put the suit on.
Look, you can't hold that against him. The man was done. He had a family, and you want him to come back out of retirement. The
Superman
man
would
was
never do
done.
that. Superman, that was selfish. Superman would never do that.
He had a family. He was in Smallville. It was also the multiverse. They took care of it. It's fine. They got a Superman.
Yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, your turn, Brian. Not because I can't do it, man. Go down a rabbit hole here about how much I'm mad at Ty.
No, that was good. That's like writing a Star Wars script of like, but how's Luke gonna find his mom? What's gonna happen?
And
like
how much would that aggravate you?
Oh my gosh, it would make me walk out of the room or throw something. Like I don't even know. Just to completely misunderstand like the Superman mythos. Like no wonder they struggled with these movies. So I agree. I hope they clean house. I don't want anyone to lose a job, obviously, but I hope that that those people are no longer making those decisions and get moved somewhere else.
Shuffle them around.
Yes. So yes. All right. Next piece of news is that this is coming from Slash Film. That YouTube deep fake expert Shamuk, who adjusted the Mandalorian visual effects at the end of season 2, where you see Luke Skywalker. He has a YouTube video of it. He has been hired by Industrial Light and Magic, who does all the special effects for Star Wars.
Crazy.
So just wanted to say, don't let your dreams be dreams, folks. Go make YouTube videos, and Lucasfilm, ILM will see you and they'll hire you. And so basically, IndieWire confirmed this. But essentially, if you don't know, Shamuk has made a name for himself using deepfake, and he adjusted the Luke Skywalker stuff that is in the end of Mandalorian season 2, which got some criticism of how it was shown digitally in the visual effects area. I thought it was fine for what it was. Other people did not. So there's an entire video. You can literally just Google Mandalorian Luke Skywalker deepfake, and you can see the differences. And so it's pretty safe to bet that I mean, essentially, we're going to be seeing more of this. I think is something to pull from this. I think we're going to be seeing returning characters to Star Wars. The first one that comes to me is Rogue Squadron. I'm a huge Rogue Squadron fan. I'm a sucker for fighter jets. I am a sucker for Star Wars, and this blends the two together. And so I'm curious if that movie will be utilizing this technology, which opens the door, I should say, for quite a few things. I don't know if that means we're going to be seeing older characters, whether it's, people from the original trilogy or not. I'm also grasping at straws here, but they hired him for a reason to do this.
Yeah.
It also could be Book of Boba Fett. Who knows? But essentially, the other comment I'll say here is that the video that was uploaded, that took 4 days of work. That's a long time, but it's short in the whole scheme of things when you're putting young Mark Hamill's face on another person.
Yeah.
So it's I think this is going to be really exciting. I think it means a lot of good things for Star Wars, and I'm always happy to see people getting hired like this when they say, hey, I think I can do this better, and the big folks are like, yes, let's do it. So I said a lot. I'm really excited about this.
I thought it was good, Brian, because you've got more information than I do. Only thing I want to say is 2 things.
Yeah.
First of all, Mace Windu. That's all I'm going to say.
Just put that let's do it. Young Sam Jackson. Let's go.
Young Sam Jackson. That's all I want to say. May Mace Windu live forever. The other thing I want to say is, if I can be just transparent,
let's do it.
Deep fake scares the fuck out of me.
Because I understand that. Yes.
I don't know why, because I understand that there's a guy on TikTok who also does Tom Cruise, and he does a good Tom Cruise impersonation, and his deep fake is like spot on.
Yeah, it is.
Really, any angle he turns, he really looks like Tom Cruise. This deep fake thing scares me because once it goes past the movie realm, because they did it in Marvel when they did Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man film. They did it with
with Michael Douglas, right?
Yeah, they did it with Michael Douglas.
Okay.
And for the younger version of himself. And then I've seen it again with The Mandalorian. I think those are the only 2. Oh no, and I'm pretty sure maybe Samuel Jackson in Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, maybe.
Yes. Oh, Holy buckets! You're right. They already did this with Sam Jackson.
I think they did. I think they did. I think they did. I couldn't remember if they just shaved him and made him look younger, or did they use the deep fake?
Well, they did it with Clark Gregg too. Phil Coulson. They did it with him too.
They did. Yes, that's right. They did do it there too. So Disney obviously has a lane for this, and them going into their. I don't know if it has any. Kevin Feige is starting up at animation studios over there at Disney.
That is also true. Yeah.
So it could possibly bleed over, but that deep fake thing scares me once it goes past the movies because I just don't know. It's so realistic. I mean, it's good. And when you have people who are better at the people who started it that are now doing it, like he was like, no, I just did this at home and on YouTube. Like, oh, okay, cool. You are skilled.
Yeah. I mean, there's two things. One, I do want to clarify. So in IndieWire, I didn't realize this. Lucasfilm did not release a statement. It was Shamook himself who said that he was that he was offered a job and accepted by ILM. And that was confirmed by IndieWire. So I do want to say that there wasn't like a big old press release about it. Yeah. Shamook did the news himself, and then it was confirmed by a third party.
Hey, celebrate yourself, Shamook.
Honestly. And go check out that video, because I think this leads into what you're talking about too here, Marcus, is I agree. I feel like over the past 15 months, there are some people that will believe a lot. And I feel like having a deep fake type technology where you and we watch a lot of TV, we watch a lot of movies, and I feel like we can get to a point, because we watch so much, it gets that uncanny valley thing where it's like, that's fake, and I don't like it. Absolutely. Which also, a whole sidebar, why does our brain react like that? Did our ancestors need to know if people were fake or not? That's really weird.
That doesn't look real. I'll tell you, for me and my mom used to play that game growing up. Of bad CGI. Bad CGI, bad makeup, and we used to literally watch movies and spot them together and be like, "Oh, you see the stunt double? There goes a stunt double. Let's go bad CGI. That's bad makeup." Like, we used to play that game. That's so awesome. I still do that even on my own. I'm like, I look for the bad CGI, which in today's time, it doesn't happen a lot. But
Well, but honestly, I love that story because, one, it's so wholesome, but two, like, your grandma was doing like critical thinking with you of like, was that the same person that was just in that other shot? Are you sure? Like, that's so important. I didn't get that till college. Like, if I'm being totally honest. No, it scares me too, because there's some people that will go to like, Facebook.news eagleflight.au and it's like with a bunch of guns or whatever and flags, and it's like Tom Cruise being like, hey, did you know that there's this thing in the water? Don't drink water. And then like you go to Target or whatever shopping center, and they're like, oh, don't drink water, you don't do that now, you got to drink Gatorade now. And
Tom Cruise told us that.
Tom Cruise told me. So
he did not tell you that. Dylan from TikTok told you that, you stupid. Stop it.
But that was my news. Congrats, Shamook. I look forward to seeing your work, hopefully maybe in Rogue Squadron.
Ooh, look, Brian's gonna plug this. I'm not mad at it either. I am not. A plug away, Brian, because, and speaking of plugging, wow, I don't know if that was a good transition.
It's fine. What are you plugging? What's up?
Well, Brian, I want to talk to you a little bit about your journey with TikTok. And Nerf, like, what is going on, what's happening, and let the people know.
Sure. Yeah. So if you haven't been listening regularly to the podcast, so I've been expanding my TikTok audience, and I entered a competition called the Nerf Hyper Tourney, and I was selected to be on a team making videos with the latest and greatest Nerf blasters. It's the Hyper line. If I'm going to advertise that, it is the Nerf Hyper line, and it is they're blasters. They shoot these tiny hyper round pellets. They go about 90 feet per second. They're fun. It's a blast. I'll be competing on Team Chrissa. You can find her on TikTok as well. And we're going to be competing for a grand prize of $15,000. So
wow.
Just kind of wild. I entered a competition on TikTok. I made a video with me using blasters. I have a lot of Star Wars blasters, so I just went for it, and that's kind of the journey.
Wow, that's honestly, Brian's TikTok is very popular. And Brian,
nice
he interact. He's one of the ones I'll actually watch. He'll end up on my For You page and end up in my followers page, obviously. But like, I think it's really dope. I think you all need to keep an eye out on Brian's journey, because I'm watching. Luke Skywalker makes an appearance from time to time.
He does.
A
My cardboard
lightsaber.
cutout.
Yeah. The glow in the dark Nerf. So I definitely wanted to at least talk about that and plug that real quick. One of the last things I think for me,
what's up,
is I'm kind of tapped out on movies.
What do you mean by that?
We there's a lot. It's like everybody is. Well, I said that because I feel like we're going to shut down again.
Oh, right? Tell me more about that then.
I feel like we are headed down this path of, the Delta and the Lombardi trophy variants are out there. And I don't know what happens if we shut down again, Brian.
I mean,
let's just talk movie wise and like in the realm that we live in as far as movies go and entertainment. Like, what happens?
I feel like this is hard to predict. I think if you're not, just to make sure we're all on the same page. So what Marcus is talking about, there is a Delta variant of COVID-19, which is far more contagious and spreads far faster than the original strain of COVID-19. And I think the reason it's good for us to talk about it in the realm of movies is because, if you're not vaccinated, you have a higher chance of getting it, and that puts you in a whole other realm of possibly being hospitalized, depending on what age group you're in. Right. They actually don't know yet, according to a lot of news sources. They don't know if it's more deadly, but they know it spreads faster. And so I do think that I do agree. I do worry. I think is the best way to say it. I do worry that come this fall, if the trend continues, I do worry that some places will shut down because of this, out of either fear or the appearance that we're not doing enough. I don't know if it's going to be a shutdown like we saw last year, but I do worry about like local movie theaters and what they're going to do.
Yeah. Because and the reason I said I was tired was because I feel like I need to get my fill in before it happens, because it does feel like everybody's trying to drop movies back to back to like they were waiting and they was like, oh, as soon as the summer opens up, like we're gonna be out the gate. And there was one time me and Doug, because we were actually going to the theaters, we went to the theaters I think 3 weekends in a row. Wow. Because we had to see, we had to talk about 3 different movies, and they all came out simultaneously weekend after the weekend.
Right.
And it was like 2 to 3. And I don't know. I guess I wanted to bring it up because of our audience, and we actually like and enjoy movies and stuff like that. And this isn't to get political about getting vaccinated or not. Do what you want, do what you feel is best for you and your family. But I do think that I don't know if theaters can take another shut down like that, because if they're already talking, if they're already talking about the 40% that they don't get in that new change and stuff. What happens if they shut down? I didn't want to end this on a sad note, but I do think it's something to at least acknowledge, maybe.
No, I think I think it is like, is it the happiest thing to talk about? No, but I think we're a movies podcast, and I talked about how much I enjoyed seeing Fast 9 in a theater. I said that about a Fast and Furious movie. Like, that's where I'm at. And no
judgment.
Reflecting on that. Also, if you haven't listened to that episode, go listen to it. We have a guest from Film Rage, and they're fantastic. It was hilarious. But like, here's the thing. Like, it's convenient, right, to like watch a movie at home, but for everything about getting to the theater and the cost, like for me and my wife, we have 2 kids, so that is 2 hours that we're out. It is distraction free, or it's supposed to be, right? You're not. I don't look at my phone nearly as much as when I'm at home, and you brought that up when we talked about Wonder Woman way back when. It's an event, it's special, and like for me, it's a self-care thing. Before all this happened, I would go see a movie on Tuesday night by myself, like just whatever week, because it would relax me. It was calming. And I feel like if that gets taken away in the fall, I do worry about local theaters, and I worry about, I worry what that looks like for the movie landscape, because this is such a larger thing, but I'm just going to go for it. We don't have a lot of shared experiences a lot, right? We all have the internet and we have Twitter, but like The Super Bowl is like the only thing I feel like that is a shared experience anymore. Like everybody's tuning in, everybody knows what's going on. They at least know there's a game, right? Even if you don't like football. And movies is one of these last vestiges of like, no. We all go to this one place on the weekend to watch the one thing, and then we're going to talk about it.
Great point.
And like there's kind of a return to that a little bit with the Disney Plus shows, but not really, in my opinion, because like it's appointment television, but it's not the same because you can watch it later. Like my friend Matt, I don't know if you listen to the pod, Matt, I'm going to talk about you. He didn't watch any of Loki until the last week because he just didn't want to wait for all the episodes. So he just binged all the episodes. So like
that's fair.
I couldn't talk to him about Loki. He hadn't seen anything, right?
Yeah.
And so I just fear that what happens when we lose that shared experience of going to the theater with someone or people, and what does that look like? And it's just another element that we would lose in something like this. I know that got way deeper probably than you expected, but yeah, it grows in concern for me too. And I do want to say, if possible, please get vaccinated. That seems to be the way to beat this thing. So I don't know if that convinces you to do it, but I do want to say I care about you and get vaccinated.
And I thought that was perfect. That was exactly what needed to be said, Brian. And you worded it in a phenomenal way. Like there is something about this experience you get going to theaters that is unmatched. It's unbeatable. And it's a one of a kind and a unique experience. Like you get to go to a theater, pick the movie you want to watch with the food that you want to eat and drink and sit in the seat that you want to sit. Like everybody has their thing about a movie experience. And and it's like, I don't know what happens if it disappears, because we have a locally owned theater in town.
Yeah.
And if it closed down, man, you got to go like 35 minutes. And outside of inconvenience, it's also like, man, this was our spot.
Yeah, and like shout out to my friend Ryan, who's Nerf War Battles on TikTok. But we went to a movie. We went to Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I went over to his house. And as we were walking to the theater, he was like, "Yeah, this is nice." Before they all turn into like Disney plexes, and I was like, "Hi, what?" And now, like he was right. Ryan, you were right, because I do see this turning into something where it's only going to be these conglomerates, right? That if we do need to weather another shutdown, they're going to be the only ones with cash to really figure this out. And what does that look like? And what does that look like for our experience as enjoyers, as moviegoers? And then like, I'm waiting for this all to come full circle, by the way. And then in like 10 years when we're old, there's going to be some young like upstart and like, okay, hear me out, an independent theater. And we're going to be like, yeah,
that used to be a thing, young man, back in our day. Brian, you're scaring me, because I don't know if the idea of a Disney Plus theater is great or bad. And these streaming services having their own theaters. That only stream their own properties.
Oh, I mean, it's not a far cry. I mean, like, if you think about it, like, we know Disney lost a lot of money over the past year and a half. That's why they reopened in July of 2020, right? You also see, this isn't a theme park podcast, but I follow this for my own personal enjoyment, but they are doing away with a lot of things they used to provide. Like, we're talking like, there's services that they're shutting down either because people weren't using them or they can save money. There's a fast pass program at their international parks that is no longer available. You have to pay for that now. And I don't think it's a far cry that's what's going to be the reality here in the States. So I don't think the jump from that to what if we had our own movie theater and could provide the Disney experience to anybody in any state for this movie. That's not a far jump for me. I mean, you put a subscription on the theater thing and you're going to have families buying it because they don't have to worry about the cost, and they bring all their kids there and they know it's cool for their kids if, they're whatever, throwing stuff at the screen, whatever. I'm going down a rabbit hole.
AMC Stubs. No, I'm thinking of programs that, AMC tried to do the same thing with AMC Stubs.
Yep.
There was, what was that failed movie company that they tried to do?
Man, they was
Red something, right?
Time.
Oh my God. They had this whole thing that we thought was a revolutionary idea, then went bankrupt about a year or two later. Like, you just pay and see as many movies as you want to see at one time. But while you look it up, I mean, that is scary to think about. but also maybe enjoyable. Like to people who want personalized experiences, yes, I'd go to the Disney Plus theater to see Avengers 7. Because I know I'll get that what you just called a Disney experience, which is basically a theme park movie experience.
Exactly. Like, the idea that, we're sitting here in 5 years, still doing the podcast, heaven willing, but like, and being like, oh yeah, I'm a paying member of the Disneyplex. Like, I'm gonna go. I already have my seats picked out, and it's part of my subscription. And because I'm a Avengers tier member, we're actually getting the free mask or
Brian,
whatever.
you're giving away the sauce, man.
Oh,
You're giving away the
sauce.
They're gonna come find you and hire you like they did Chuck. They're gonna come find Brian Roush and be like, "Hey, you're playing this for us."
Like Movie Pass. Movie Pass was the one that went bankrupt.
Movie Pass.
Oh my gosh, that was the golden age.
Movie Pass and in no relation, Quibi. Quibi was like, we thought Quibi was about to be the next big thing. They invested so much, they went bankrupt.
Oh man.
But Movie Pass was, man, I had friends who had Movie Passes and they said that card just stopped working after a while.
Yep. I mean, that was the deal. I mean, I remember I had friends who had it and they tried to go see the mission. I think it was like the latest Mission Impossible. They couldn't.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, they literally don't have money. Like Movie Pass has no money.
It was like, sorry, that does not work here. Like, since when?
Yeah, it's like having your credit card get like declined on a national level. I mean, lordy, but I don't think that's a far cry that, we're seeing Avengers 7 with our Disneyplex subscription. So yeah, no, I think you bring up a good point. Like the future is very murky.
Yeah. But this was good. Brian, you got anything else you wanted to talk about tonight?
I don't have any other news. I did want to ask you though. You released an album last week until then, and I just wanted to ask, how did that go? I know you got a lot of love and support.
I did. Thank you. It was a lot. It did a lot better than even I think we anticipated. We're almost at 1,000 streams in less than a week.
That's awesome.
And for me, that's the first time I think we've ever had a number that high. So I appreciate everybody. I love everybody for all the support. We're about 71 listens away from 1,000 streams, and so I don't know what happens once we hit that 1,000. I'll just be happy with a big smile on my face in bed, me and the team. But it was a great feeling of people just listening to it. Lots of people were just crying. Yes. It was a thing. So, but yeah.
Okay. Well, good. I'm glad it was a good release, of course. And I listened to it. Make sure to go check it out wherever you stream music. I know I listen to it on Spotify. My favorite track is Random. Marcus has some amazing vocals on there that I really enjoy. I'm just going to put that out there.
Thank you.
No problem, man. I think this is a good time to transition into our new segment. Do you, Marcus?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. So for new and returning listeners, that is our news for now. And we are going to have a new segment that we don't have an official title for, but for the moment, I'm just going to ring it out here and just say, what are you watching? And this is a point in time for us to talk about what we've been watching. We consume quite a bit, but we only do about a movie a week. So Marcus and I are just going to be talking about what we've watched, whether it's a movie, a TV show, whatever it might be. We most likely have seen it. And we'll talk about how we liked it, if we'd recommend it. And these are going to be things that are pretty recent on streaming services or wherever you get, wherever you watch your stuff. So, what have you been watching, Marcus?
So honestly, as far as streaming goes, the last thing that I watched streaming wise was Loki. Okay. And so I did enjoy that. Like, if you listen to the bonus episode, we'll highly recommend it.
Oh, it's a very good bonus episode. Doug talks about some great stuff.
It got so deep. I was like,
cut to your soul.
He was like, hey, Loki, what about me though? And I was like, damn, this guy good. But Loki, I highly recommend. I plan on starting Lord of the Rings series and live tweeting through that. So those are my two biggest ones. Oh, and before we started the podcast, I was actually watching, what was I watching? I was rewatching Jonah Hex.
Okay.
The live action version of with Josh Brolin. I was rewatching Jonah Hex, and so that's kind of where I am right now. Some of the things Brian's going to mention, I have watched, so I kind of want Brian to go. So I can go ahead and I'll go off your coattails.
Let's do it. Well, let's just jump into it. I'm going to talk about Sweet Tooth.
Yes.
So yeah, we're gonna talk about this series. We're gonna dive into some of the plot points in it. I know some of it's in the trailers, but if you don't want anything or any spoilers, you can come back to this part after you finished it. But yes, we finished Sweet Tooth about a week ago, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it far more than I thought I would. Is that kind of where you were at, Marcus?
That was absolute. I had no intentions of watching this, and once I was done, I was like, "Hurry up with season 2."
Seriously,
yeah, it was good.
Gosh, I mean, good. I feel like Sweet Tooth. So it's based on a graphic novel. If folks don't know, it's a WB property. It was released in Netflix on June. It stayed in the top 10 for weeks, weeks easily, and. I think one of the things that surprised me about that show is that it sidestepped a lot of like the traditional like cliches of dystopian like apocalypse type things. It got down to business pretty fast in the first episode, and essentially the premise is that there's a virus ravaging the land, and there are also children being born with hybrid features from animals. And people don't really know what to do when society collapses. That's pretty much the premise. And we follow a character called Sweet Tooth. Can't remember his birth name at the moment. And that's kind of where the show picks up. But it does such a good job of moving it along and just not, I don't know. I feel like sometimes dystopia stories get really bogged down in like, we want to show you how bad it is. We just want to show you how bad it really, really is. And I feel like this show just keeps going and injects that positivity into it.
Yeah. So main character's name is Gus.
Thank you.
Yep, it's Gus. And you're absolutely right. So what I'd like to do with series that I don't know, that I don't plan on like really investing or don't care about spoilers, I go to YouTube and I like to listen to the original graphic novels, and I like to listen to them explain the graphic novels in whole. So what I did before I watched Sweet Tooth was watch this video that explained the entire graphic novel of Sweet Tooth and what the story was, and introduced the individual characters. And so I did my own little short study of this. And so they did change a lot in Sweet Tooth as far as characters go. So like Tommy Jeppert. Tommy Jeppert was actually a hockey player in the graphic novel instead of a football player. And he was also white. Not that matters, but
interesting.
He was white, and he was a hockey player in that series. And it talks about a lot of these. I mean, first of all, shout out to Will Forte playing Puppa.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that was him.
Really? You didn't know that?
I did not know that was him until the end of the episode, and I was blown away.
Will Forte has this thing about, I don't know, blowing my mind sometimes. And you think he's just this goofy guy, but also he has this very compelling storyline and very compelling acting, and he's really just cared about this kid. And I just thought that was fantastic. And I also want to shout out Neil Sadalands, who plays General Steven, who was also in The Flash. He played the thinker in the Flash.
Oh wow.
But he plays this role very, very well. So those are just two people that I wanted to, and James Brolin for just being a narrator with that voice. Yeah. But I did like Sweet Tooth, and I think it was produced or co-produced by Robert Downey Jr. and his wife.
It was.
And I think it's a good watch. I think you watch it, you'll get it can be slow moving in the first, because you're like, man, this kid can be annoying, and he got on my nerves a little bit, but I'm like, he's supposed to be a kid, and he was sheltered his whole life, Marcus.
I love
get
that.
over it. So it was good. I liked it a lot.
And I feel like that's why that show works, because I feel like we have had our fill of like just people being awful in dystopias. Like I feel like The Walking Dead cornered and just executed well in that market. Like that is the definitive show for that. And I feel like with Sweet Tooth, it's like, okay, yeah, what if it's like that, but like what if there's some joy?
Yeah.
Have you thought about that?
Yeah.
So it makes it to me, it makes it watchable because it's not always down in the dumps. Like you have Gus with this like super perseverant mindset of just like, yeah, like it's gonna be okay. And honestly, that's one of the reasons that I loved it and I kept going back to it.
Yeah, I thought it was good, and it does have its down moments. Just as my last thing before you go to your next thing.
No, you're good.
When they and spoilers, but when somebody gets the sickness, right?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the other thing about this show, it hits very close to home.
Oh,
in respects to like where we are in the world at the moment, right?
Oh man.
So like whenever somebody gets the sickness, they burn the place. They burn they wrap that man in saran wrap and burn the whole place down.
You're gone.
That was it. And it was like you're rebooting this community, this country, and people are, abiding by it was kind of like the Purge mixed with like the Rugrats, mixed with like, it's like a lot of that into one. So I recommend it.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. Like if you're not ready to like engage in the past 15 months in media format, this show isn't for you. I'll just put that there.
No, stay away from it.
Yeah, like it's okay. Come back to it later because I mean, there's signs in there that are like keep 6 feet apart, and I'm like, oh lordy, okay, all right.
Again, I got PTSD.
Seriously, but yeah, I feel like this is a good time for us to switch gears.
Yes.
Did you watch? Because I think you watched Invincible, right?
I did watch Invincible.
Okay, I know that it was coming out weekly for a bit, but I know some people are starting to watch it now. Did you enjoy yourself?
I did. So I did the same thing that I did for Sweet Tooth. I did for Invincible. I did a short study because the actual Invincible comic book run is long.
Is it really?
It's long. Oh, it's long. They have a lot of story to cover. And what I liked about this show, I was interested to see where they were going to stop in season 1.
Yeah.
Compared to how much story that they have left over. Also, if you didn't know, Invincible does do a crossover with Marvel and Batman. With Spider-Man and Batman. I think they have a comic where he's like hopping dimensions, and I think he runs into Batman and Spider-Man.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but I did enjoy it. What did you think, Brian?
Man, I loved it. This is a show for people who grew up with I'm gonna say like the 92 X-Men and the Batman the animated series.
Oh, nice. That's nice. Yeah.
Who watched those shows growing up? This is the show that grows up with you.
That's good.
Because it has the aesthetic of like, oh, it's a Saturday morning cartoon. And then like you see somebody like literally get decapitated, I feel like in the first or second episode. And you're like, oh my gosh, like can you do that on a TV show? And I feel like it executes really well in this idea that like, hey, yeah, so like you watch these DC cartoons, but like, what if it actually happened? And like you're actually seeing the consequences of so many of these things. The one thing I'm thinking about, there's an alien invasion at one point, and like there is just gore as far as the eye can see. I believe it's the second episode, and just how futile our invincible hero really is. Like he tries to save one person, and I'll leave it at that. It doesn't go well for him, but like there's an alien invasion. He's like, I can only do this one thing. And it just does such a good job building off of people who enjoy comics and those TV shows. Yeah. And then also like, honestly, challenging them. This was a little challenging in some areas of like, you have to think through like, oh man, like, yeah, it does kind of the thing the Boys does a little bit of just like, ooh, this is a natural consequence if this actually happened. And I don't know if that's good.
Yes, I think it did. I think I like this better than The Boys because sometimes The Boys can feel like it can be extra for no reason. Yeah. And it's a hard comparison to make it to the live action.
Sure.
But Robert Kirkman, who is the creator, was talking about, possibly doing a live action movie and how the live action movie of Invincible is going to be completely different than the animated version or the comic book. They want to make it a special thing because I do think you have this compelling story with Invincible of this father-son relationship. This son who is just amazed and in awe about being powerful. And I think we all have this dream of, man, if we had superpowers,
yes,
this is what it would be like. But Invincible is like the slap to face reality of like, hey, you also can destroy this building and get your ass kicked on several occasions. And I just enjoyed the whole that they didn't just even cover one character. They covered all of the surrounding characters and how it affected them. And the animation is also dope. And the voice actors are also dope as hell.
The cast for Invincible, it is all A-listers.
It's amazing.
I mean, I don't even know where to start, but like Steven Yeun from The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, you
J.K. Simmons.
Yeah. James Jordan Jameson. But I mean, Sandra Zazie Beetz. Like, I don't even Jillian Jacobs from Community, who I know. Walton Goggins. Like,
isn't Mark Hamill in this?
Yes, Mark Hamill is the Taylor. Yeah. Zachary Quinto is a robot. Jason Mantzoukas. I mean, like the list goes on. I mean, Clancy Brown, if you're familiar with him.
Zachary Quinto, Walton Goggins. I mean, it really is an A-list cast.
It really is, like top to bottom. You can't. I mean, you really can't get away from it. Wow. Like it's just so well produced, top to bottom. I binged this in a week. Like I couldn't. I got like to people who watch this weekly. Shout out to you. I couldn't. Like that is wild because it was just so well done. So I can't wait for season 2 on that.
It'll be good. The internet was everybody. That was what you talked about the shared moment. I think Invincible had a shared moment, at least on Twitter and on the internet, because everybody was talking about it at one point. And I think there is a lane for these shows like Invincible and The Boys. That while we do have these superhero movies like Marvel, and it shows maybe the brighter side of these heroes, you do get this darker version of these heroes that some sick people, people want to see this side of things.
I mean, and I think you make a great point because like I don't think that this happens if the MCU doesn't take off. Like I feel like this is a direct reaction to the MCU. I also feel like The Boys too, and I feel like there's an appetite for this. I'm speaking very highly of it. I love all the MCU stuff, but having this as like a type of counter culture, there's absolutely an audience for it, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Also really quick, you're right. It did have a shared moment because like I saw screen caps of this. I actually saw screen caps of the finale when Mark Grayson, Invincible, gets the crap beat out of him.
Yeah, it was bad.
The image macro I saw, and I was like, what is this show? So I knew part of the reveal, like, as I started watching it, but it didn't matter because it was such a good show.
Think, Mark. Think. And I was like,
17 years, Mark.
What's another? Oh, man, that was heartbreaking, but God,
yeah, that was good. That happened. That was dark. But I know I have one more. Is there anything that you wanted to share that you're watching or something you did watch that really connected with you?
At the moment, no. I've just been rewatch. So I love these phases where I get into rewatching a lot of things. And I did have this moment of rewatching Daredevil with Ben Affleck, and honestly, it did not disappoint. I enjoyed myself. I don't know what it was about it. Growing up watching Daredevil, that was my first introduction was Ben Affleck as Daredevil. And you had Kingpin, you had Bullseye. It was like their iteration of a comic book come to life, and they really made the attempt. And while the movie isn't the best, it definitely did its job for what it was supposed to be. You know what I mean? And like real high red leather stuff, but like I was looking at it like, oh boy, you can't do that nowadays. But I had this moment with Daredevil. I was like, God, like I enjoyed this. Like it nurtured my soul because it was like a simple superhero movie. You had the good moments, the bad moment, he wins, great job, and the credits roll. Like that was the whole thing. And then I remember the things that came after that, like Elektra, the Elektra movie, which was not
that could have been better. I mean, like it had such an opportunity.
That it did have a big opportunity, but they missed it. And now Ben Affleck is on a boat somewhere with J-Lo. So
and I feel like I don't know if there's some alternate universe where I'm teaching a film course, and I feel like examining exactly what was going on with Marvel movies between 1999 and like 2007. Daredevil is its own class session. Like that's an entire 1 hour class of what is going on, because it really feels like Fox was trying to figure out exactly what they could make, right? And they had so much success with X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay, you want more of this, but like, let's make it gritty, you know? But it felt more like a My Chemical Romance. Like, what if the My Chemical Romance guys directed a comic book movie? That's what it felt like. But with like Jennifer Garner happened to show up on set one day. That's just kind of what it felt like.
I can see that.
And I'll always use this opportunity to remind people that it took 6 weeks to shoot that playground fight scene between Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck.
It was worth it, Brian.
Like, all I'm saying is some people, they're like, oh man, I didn't get a lot done today. Well, did you know it took them 6 weeks to get 1 3-minute sequence done? You did better than that, I bet.
Motivational purposes. Well, before you get into your next one,
you're good.
They did. Fox was trying to do their own Avengers thing. There was rumor they were trying to get their X-Men to cross over with. I don't know if it was necessarily Daredevil, but they were definitely trying to get their Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and X-Men to do their own Avengers thing before. Right. The big dump of Marvel movies and stuff like that. So Fox definitely went through this dark, grungy emo kid area.
I mean Ghost Rider too. Yeah. Perfect example today.
And the Punisher. Don't forget the Punisher, like the original and then the remake of the Punisher.
Yeah.
Marvel. Yeah, we didn't forget that. we didn't
feel like the Punisher and oh my gosh, I'm losing it here. I do feel like Punisher and Ghost Rider that would be one class session in this
for sure. Yes,
teaching, because there's just look, John Travolta is the bad guy. That's really all you need to know. And Thomas Jane, he did his best.
Yes,
okay? He did his best. But yeah, the only other thing I wanted to mention was I was watching I Think You Should Leave season 2. It's a comedy show on Netflix. By the way, I just realized Sweet Tooth is available on Netflix. Invincible is available on Amazon Prime. And in any case, I watched I Think You Should Leave season 2. It's a great comedy sketch show. The episodes are only like 17 minutes, and it really, really moves. And I can't recommend it enough. It's weird. It's surreal. And the only reason I say that is because I got into surreal humor over the past 15 months. So if that is you, this show is for you. That's what I want to say.
I think I'll watch that. I haven't heard of it, but now that you've mentioned it, I will watch it. I hope Netflix does not. Netflix has this thing of not doing season 2s or season 3s, and you just never know what they're going to cancel or what they're going to keep going. But I do hope that the ones that you've mentioned, which I've seen 2 out of the 3 of those, and one is an Amazon Prime property, but like I do hope that they keep going, because I'm still waiting on Lost in Space season 2 or 3, and they still have not done that yet. And I was like, man, I don't know what's happening. I really enjoyed. I liked their redo of Lost in Space. I thought it was good. The graphics were great. And then they just stopped.
Yep.
But
well, and this is a conversation for another day. But yeah, Netflix does have this model, and sometimes it gets to season 3, and sometimes it doesn't, based on how many views it gets. It's wild. I mean, your guy Will Forte has a sketch in I Think You Should Leave season 1. So if that convinces you, but it's weird. But I think the reason that I really enjoy it, and I think Doug would enjoy it too if he was here, is that it really just focuses on like people who have really specific grievances, like us, like when we talk about movies or movie studios.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like, this is so relatable but chaotic energy. I can't speak highly of it enough. I laugh every time. So that's basically what I've been watching.
Okay. One more I'll slide in there before we close. MODOK. I did watch MODOK, and I enjoyed it. I really thought it was good. MODOK is not a character that I have personal interest or investment into, so I just kind of went into it watching for the Robot Chicken kind of humor and Robot Chicken graphic. And that's exactly what it gave me. Even if you're not a Marvel fan, you don't have to know anything about MODOK. It tells its own separate story, like a made up one. And this is on Hulu. And I got done with it in about a day. I streamed all the episodes and went through everything. Yeah, it was like one of those slow Saturdays. I think, it's funny. I watched Sweet Tooth and MODOK that same day. I got through both of those entire series in one day.
wow, as a father, I'm so envious of that for you. That's amazing. That's incredible. Like
as a bachelor, I envy not having the time to you know what I'm saying. So
oh, look at us,
but
folks.
envying each other. Look at us.
Right. I know. Well, I guess we have good company then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad you enjoyed it because I'll be honest, I saw the trailer and I was like, I don't know if this is for me. Did you enjoy the Patton Oswalt, like the divorce storyline? Like, did you enjoy that all?
It gets annoying because like you kind of feel like they are putting their foot on this one thing and not really making an evolution of a story.
Yeah.
But I've guessed that that's where the punchline is, and so they're gonna keep punching that punchline.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool because you do have moments of like actual compellingness where he does feel bad and all this other shit like that, but it's also a lot of stupidity in there too as well. So I don't know what they do with season 2 or where they go.
Sure.
I don't know if it's a lot of people's humor, but it's there if you want it.
No, I dig it. I really like that we're both ending with shows that are like, this worked for me. I don't know about y'all, but I love that energy. I'm just open. Like, you just got to deal with what I enjoy. Okay.
Yeah. It's our show. We can do what we want.
I do want to say that I want to back you up though. This has an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think it falls in that anti-hero, anti-Marvel, the other side of the coin type of deal. And I think people enjoy that dirty humor when it comes to Marvel.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll be honest. Marcus has convinced me. I'm checking this out between that and the tomato meter. This is wild. That's excellent. So I'm definitely going to check that out. All right. Well, I think that's it for this segment. Thanks for everybody who joined us as we're experimenting with this format. All right. I think do we have any plugs we want to do?
That's right. Let's get into some plug. Brian, you got anything that you would like to plug?
I already talked about it a little bit with the Nerf hyper tourney. If you're not following me on TikTok, I am at Rogue Roush. For those watching on the live cast, my handle's up there. And if you want to support me during the Nerf Hyper Tournament, basically we'll be making videos and the ones with the most likes will be the winners. So if you want to head there, like my videos, especially the Nerf ones, that would be awesome. Again, thelovenerds.com. It's still summer. You're still going outside. You're going to need recipes. Yes. And my wife, Maggie, runs this blog. She's got you covered. It tastes good. This isn't going to be one of those blogs where you're like skimping. And it's like, oh, are you trying to eat healthy? No. This is good stuff right here. Okay. If you want something else than that, you can go to a different blog. This is the good stuff when you got people coming over. So go check that out. Thelovenerds.com. How about you, Marcus?
Love it. So I am going to Until Then is out. Y'all already know that. We already talked about that. So I'm going to take the place of my good friend Doug Wagner and say I'm going to plug this podcast. Okay. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. You can watch every episode live before it drops if you sign up for our Patreon. There's a $5 tier, a $10 tier. There's also a $20 tier. We're not asking for much. Every little bit helps and every little bit counts. And you can sign up for that at patreon.com/films in black and white. You catch episodes early. We dropped the Loki episode super duper early. We dropped it, I think, like 3 days before it came out. And then we dropped the video. We're dropping videos over there where you get to see our live facial expressions and all that good stuff like that. So
getting embarrassed by whatever Stephanie Williams says to me, which is worth subscribing for alone.
Thank you for saying that, Brian, because there was another thing I wanted to shout out. Follow also __ the mantra. Y'all know the routine. Y'all know the deal. But what I did want to shout out is I wanted to shout out Stephanie Williams because she did her interview for Comic-Con at Home for her new series that she is co-writing, which is Nubia, Wonder Woman, which is a Wonder Woman series, and they're calling it Nubia. And this is the first time that Nubia has had a solo story written outside of one of the other ones that they did briefly.
Yes.
She's given real back. Like Stephanie has her hand in this along with other people, but I just want to highlight Stephanie real quick that Stephanie is dope as hell. And I watched that entire interview and hearing a Black woman talk about developing a Black character, a Black woman that's powerful, strong, sexy, and can be all these things is amazing because they are talking about it with the original people who write the original story for Wonder Woman. They're talking about Nubia right in the same breath. And to me, that is dope as hell. That is amazing. I have never read a Wonder Woman comic or a Nubia comic, but I will be when Stephanie drops. So shout out to a friend of the show, Stephanie Williams.
Yes, and make sure to support her. We really try to uplift voices, and I think having Stephanie Williams, that's one of the things we are super prideful about. Her work is unparalleled. Please make sure to support her, friend of the podcast.
Yeah. So without further ado, we are going to wrap this thing up, and we are going to give you our 3-step process to success. And Brian Roush, can you tell us what the first step is?
I'd love to. I'd like to tell you to read a book. And I talk about a lot of things, audiobooks or, making movies in your head. But what I'm going to focus on today is graphic novels. We talked about a lot of things being adapted into movies or shows from graphic novels. And you might say, Brian, that's not a book. And I challenge you, nay, I tell you, it is a book. It has pages. There are words in it. No matter how you consume this story, that's a book. So even if you're at a point in your life where you're like, I don't have time for reading, read a graphic novel. You're still reading. You're getting a different perspective. So read a book.
Read a book. You're not going to listen to a Nerf champion. Like, we're proclaiming it. We're manifesting. Brian, did you also want to cover step 2?
I'd love to. Please drink some water. I live in the Chicago area. It was 94 degrees here today. It was way too hot for this Minnesota guy. So look, we're not talking about Gatorade. We're not talking about Mountain Dew or any of those energy drinks. We're talking about just regular water, whether it's coming from the tap or a plastic bottle, hopefully a reusable canteen or something like that.
Oh, look at this guy.
Please drink some water. You're going to feel better. The people around you will then be better. And your brain will thank you. Do you get headaches a lot? And you're like, why do I have a headache? Drink some water. It's going to help.
Honestly, the cure, I don't know this for sure, and I'm not a doctor, but the cure to COVID is in the water hose. So if you drink water out of a water hose, you're immune to COVID.
Oh, man.
And that's going to take us directly into step 3.
Marcus, what's step 3?
You got to wash your ass. You have to wash it because, honestly, the thing that's going to get you the Delta variant and the Lombardi variant, it's going to be the coronavirus. Okay. And it's going to be not washing your ass. Okay. You have to do your part. Like Brian said, it's going to be 104 here in Vermilion this Wednesday.
What?
104.
Oh my gosh. You need a sun shield or an umbrella or something.
If I could stay inside, I would, but I have no option but to shower twice that day because I have to make sure I just wash my ass. And that's step 3. And y'all have to make sure y'all are doing your part too. Once again, shout out to Doug Wagner. We love you, brother. We are here with you. And to our listeners, we are here with you too. Our Patty family, we love and appreciate you for always being there with us. This has been the Brian and Marcus Show. When we come back next week, we will be talking about Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, I think we're talking Jungle Cruise. I also really want to give a quick shout out to a Patreon subscriber, Chris Schultens. I saw you in person this weekend. It was great connecting. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do all these cool things like this live cast. So thank you,
Chris.
And I do want to say, the plan is for Jungle Cruise next week. I'm going to a theater for that. I think I have night and a babysitter lined up, so it's gonna be. Make sure to tune in because I'm gonna be pretty excited.
Yeah, we're gonna give you a full rundown. You know, we don't pull no punches here at Films in Black and White. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We are gonna holler at y'all later. Peace out.
All right.